Hi, it's Tom here, and today we are up at my shop, and I thought I would give you guys a tour of the Nerfmobile, which is behind me here, and maybe look around the shop. So something a bit different for this week, and I hope you enjoy it. The Nerfmobile is a 1971 VW bus, and she was built in Hanover in Germany, and then she was shipped out to the west coast of the United States, and spent quite a lot of time in Southern California at San Diego, and then I think she gradually travelled up the coast. And I got her from a very nice guy up in Sebastopol, California, north of San Francisco. And then she was put back on a truck and shipped back to Los Angeles, and then put on board a boat. And she came right the way back across through the Panama Canal and back across the Atlantic, and docked in the UK about 10 years ago. And I've had her ever since. And she's done about 180,000 miles from new. And she's had quite a few things done to her over the years, because it's an old bus, stuff breaks. And as you can see, there's a bit of a patchwork quilt of colours on the car at the moment, and this was the test scheme, and I've since changed my mind about that turquoise, because there's just too many vans in that colour now, so I'm going to have to do something different. And I thought I'd show you around. Also in here, a lot of the props that I take out with me when I run games, so you can get a flavour of how we do mobile Nerf out here. Okay, I've switched to my chest camera so that we can actually get a look in here. So we'll start with the passenger compartment. As you can see, there's the ship's wheel, and that is a handmade aluminium centre with a custom milled boss, and it's all handmade in the UK. And then the rim is a mahogany rim, and I'm very fond of my steering wheel. It's really comfy. I've got to thank my uncle Tom Senior for that one. It's a really nice wheel. And I got a carpet in here from Mad Mats, again made in the UK. And that's a really nice fit. It's a square weave German style carpet. And then the seats I recovered myself. Those are West Coast metric covers from California. And you can see this is the original colour of the bus here. It was white when I got it. And as I've had to work on panels, I've sprayed them various colours, some out of remnants and some were planned. And you can see that as you go round, you'll notice lots of different changes. And here's how we track where they go. So you have here, and the American garages put these helpful service stickers on. When she was new, you could read these a lot more, and I went round and read all of those, so that's how I know where it's been. And we can check out some of the stuff here, and as you can see, the rear bumpers had the odd fender bender here and there, and that's usually down to stupidity amongst other drivers in this country, unfortunately. I haven't replaced that with the new one I've got in the shed yet, because it's winter here. So we can start with some of the mods. So we've got a full stainless quiet pack here. This is in 304 grade marine stainless, and that's a full 4-into-1. Now, and we come to the engine compartment. So we've got a few little Nerfer mods in here. So the first thing is up here, we've got a little micro switch, little roller micro switch, and when you tap that, inside there's a bunch of LED lights inside, which are turned off at the moment because I've been storing it, and they light up the engine bay, which is nice and clean. So it means if ever I have to work on the engine bay, I've got a light inside, and there's a hidden strip up here of those stick-on LED strips that people like to use. And as you can see, the engine bay I try to keep pretty tidy. There's a few little tweaks to the motor. She's had a few bits of headwork done, and it's got full flow oil system. None of that you can see, it's all hidden underneath. As you can see at the moment, it's set up with only the back row seats. I've got a middle row of seats that goes in here, but we can start looking at some of my Nerfwar gear. Now, another mod on this van as well is that it's got these, which are the opening windows. Those are VW factory opening windows, and they fitted them to later buses. And then the headliner here, originally it was all fitted with like a kind of boarded headliner, so all of this I did myself, and that was all done from a kit. So we can take a look at some of the stuff I take to games. So obviously dart pool, this is about, I don't know, 2/3 of the darts I've got. I don't have a very big game, so I don't need a very big pool. And then we have some props. Trugs are handy for carrying darts in, picking up off the floor. In here we've got a load of ball pool balls, and those we pay carpe testiculum with them, and we use them sometimes for objectives and other things. They're really annoying because you can't carry very many in your hand. So if you're trying to hold your blaster in one hand, and you can't carry lots of those, so that's good because it makes it harder to do. Then we have our trusty kind of Roadrunner stick of dynamite props, and we make those look as unrealistic as possible. And as you can see, I've got two different colours of those, which we use for various games. Then down here are my cheap and nasty flux points.
Big shout out to the guys at Bay Area Nerf for that game idea. And I know other people make them out of EVA foam, which is always useful. You can make them as big or as small as you want. You just simply go to it and turn it to your team colour, and that point is yours. Then for outside, I have some poles, and you put this on top of the pole, and then you turn the colour to match your team colour, so it'll sit up in the air. Now over in this bag is, that's the bed for Doggo when he comes for a ride. Over here is a deployable cover. So these are spinnakers. Now spinnakers come from sailboats. When they wear out, they throw them away. And I got these from a sailmaker, and there's also some old tent outer sheets there, which again good and cheap, and those are really handy because you can stretch them over chairs, tables, things like that to make big bits of cover, and all of that was free, so I didn't want to turn that down. And the other thing that I use a lot of for cover is cardboard boxes. Here's my pile of cardboard boxes under the dog bed, and those all came from a local shoe factory, and I got those free. And then when they get too battered to keep using, you just recycle them, and you're not doing the planet any harm. Now when this is in bus mode, all of this stuff here obviously isn't in it. I've got my toolbox. Anybody who knows anything about hot rods carry tools, street rods carry polishing materials, and I got my toolbox there, I got my socket set there, I've got a set of overalls there in case I have any kind of trouble at the side of the road. She's never let me down yet, but it always pays to be prepared. I've occasionally had to assist fellow bus pilots at the side of the road. Back here is what we call a bus catastrophe box, and that covers things like blown cables, accelerator cables, clutch cables. I have the 3 most common sizes of accelerator and clutch cable in there. I've got an extra work light that plugs into the sockets. I've got oils, I've got hydraulic fluid, I've got repair parts there for like patching hose, that kind of stuff. So that's always useful. Nerf-wise, back to the props again. Down here we've got big bombs for bomb run. And those are like the Urukai bomb, you know, you stuff them in and that's the game over. We call those like the big red snitch or the big white snitch because it ends the game when we play bomb run. And then these are extremely useful, and those are used when we have juggernauts and tanks in play, and they're a one-shot rocket launcher. They're also extremely inaccurate, which is great because it means that there's a lot of pressure on the person with the rocket launcher to not miss. So those were very cheap and they're a lot of fun. This is my prop box, also contains all my alternative ammunition. There's stuff in there like extra prop things, there's bandanas for identification. That ammunition case contains my rival HIRs, you can see. And then this is the pingers. Now what we use for those, I'll show you a pinger. Cheap kitchen timer, and you can set minutes, seconds, start and stop. And what I do is I cover them over. And I turn a few of them on and everybody picks up a pinger, and then I start the timer, and if your pinger goes off you've become a zombie. So that's a really good way of ramping up the paranoia for not much. Those are about $1.50 each, and I think I paid 99p in UK money for those, and they're really useful. You can also use them for game timers. So there's my pingers. You don't have to give all of them out. You can sometimes just give out a handful of pingers with some active and some not active. Also in there's my specs and my demolisher ammunition and all the stuff people leave behind, where they just seem to throw mags everywhere. Obviously pool noodles for noodler zombies, and then this big bag up here is just full of stuff that's being sold by members that seems to just always end up in my shed. So that is the Nerfmobile. As you can see, there's still a few things that need doing to her, and and the birds, we live where there's a lot of seagulls and they're forever crapping on it. Now the next thing she's going to get is up front here. You can see there's a big gap here because at the moment it's riding at stock ride height, and that's bugging me.